If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Healthcare professionals can lead their careers with LinkedIn. Discover jobs by specialty, preferred shifts, and even desired salary. From mental health therapists to radiology technicians, it's now faster and easier for healthcare professionals to find the right fit. Learn more at linkedin.com/healthcare. Side effects may include faster job placement, improved work-life balance, and increased career satisfaction.
The Rev and the Rabbi on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Reverend, we have with us now one of our favorite former members of Congress, the Honorable Peter King, represented Nassau County with distinction, then was elevated to America's congressman, and now he's an international figure talking about issues that impact all of us everywhere. Congressman, we wanted to pay you for this appearance because we know that you're high priced.
That's okay with
no,
me.
the government shutdown said your remuneration will not permit it, so we had to stop right there. Congressman, let's begin by this. Everybody is taking what's happened.
I'm not talking to you. That's the only reason I come on. I was looking for a book.
In the Middle East. What is it in President Trump's persona that somehow is able to achieve what others haven't? Is there something very unique there that he got it done when others couldn't get it done?
Yeah, it's certainly something unique. I don't know if I can precisely define it, but basically it's coming on very strong, just going ahead, saying he's not afraid of the consequences. He's going to get it done. When you think of in the past of all the negotiations that went on, and there were some successful ones with Jimmy Carter and Sadat and Begin, and then later on with the Abraham Accords with President Trump. But the fact is, this is the furthest anyone has ever gone as far as, first of all, getting the hostages back. That in itself is a victory. It takes, apart from the human factor, which is the most important, it also takes away whatever fine leverage that Hamas had. And I don't think anyone really expected for Hamas to turn over the hostages before there was any agreement on anything else. So that was done, and that was a tremendous achievement. And also, right now, by going so far, we are, I think, on the verge of at least having real negotiations to bring about a lasting settlement. Now, what some of the specific actions he did, I think, when he bombed Iran, when he actually went in and carried out the bombing missions against the nuclear facilities in Iran, I don't think anyone ever expect that to happen. We've been talking about it for 20 years, but no president seriously considered doing it. And so President Trump did it. He did it. It was over in one night, and it was an overwhelming success. I think the other Arab nations saw that, and they basically have told Hamas that they are not going to support Hamas at all going forward, and they're going to actually oppose them unless Hamas quickly gives in here, at least as far as giving the hostages back and making commitments. So I would say it was a combination of, probably the main thing was that he was able to, if you will, intimidate the Arab nations or impress the Arab nations or force them to respect us, knowing that he is willing to do what no other president was willing to do, and that's to actually attack Iran, and the fact that Iran didn't respond.
Yeah. He doesn't equivocate. That's for sure. Good.
Right. Can we attach the word unpredictability to that? The fact that he would do something like that, it sends a message that, you can't predict through the normal operations what this president will or will not do. I think that puts people on edge, and it serves notice, wouldn't you say, Congressman?
Yes, and I would say in a less intelligent way of saying it, which is what I'm going to do, is President Nixon used to quote Syngman Rhee in Korea. He said, "It's always better if your opponent thinks you're a little crazy." And I think Donald Trump has to convince And he's definitely using it to his benefit. Plus, also, I find it interesting that with all of the great diplomats we've had over the years, we've had some really exceptional diplomats, the guys who brought about the deal were 3 real estate guys from New York. I mean, Trump went back.
You know, I have to tell you, I speak to friends in Israel, and without hesitation, they will tell you, as many will tell you, President Trump has been a great friend of the people of Israel. He's never, I use the word equivocated, never equivocated. He's been very public, very proud of his relationship with the people of Israel, and they've been very public and proud of their appreciation of that relationship. So when you watch all of the people coming out and applauding him, and the hostages who said, without you, we wouldn't be here, it was very moving and very meaningful. So I just want to make sure that we all say thank you.
Well, he really deserves tremendous credit for this. And no matter what happens going forward, even if it ended today, it's a very, very significant victory. I mean, Hamas has been crushed like never before. The hostages are back. And there was no basically concessions by the United States. And it puts us in a position, but the American people have to realize, too, it's not going to be easy going forward. For instance, how do you disarm Hamas? Because right now, the IDF is pulled back, so Hamas has a region for itself, and if they don't give up their weapons voluntarily, then you have to go in and take them back, and that could lead to a more resumption of fighting. But again, Hamas may realize if they're not going to be supported by the other Arab states, then they are basically not going to be able to carry this forward. It's just basically signing a suicide pact. Also, they have to come up with a transitional government. How do you find... it was very difficult to do it in Iraq, trying to put together a coalition government or a transitional government or a new government. And so you have to try and get together a number of individuals in Gaza who are not connected to Hamas or not directly connected. I'm sure there's going to be some connections, no matter what. Even in Germany after World War II, there were still some people, with Nazi affiliations. You can't completely cleanse that out. But the thing is, keep Hamas in a distinct minority, and then also to rebuild it economically. So a lot has to be done, and it could be it'll be unfortunate if the American people start losing interest after a few months. If there is any even limited amount of resumed fighting with Hamas, people say, "Oh, we're back to where we were." Or if there's not a transition government formed right away, okay, it's time for us to get out. Or if as far as the rebuilding, it's going to cost money, just like the Marshall Plan did after World War II. But that's what basically cemented our victory over there, was by having a rebuilt Germany and then also a rebuilt Japan. So the American people have to realize that we're in this for the long haul. It's not just Israel's benefit, it's to America's benefit. And that it's not going to be easy. And we can't just be saying, we can't be spending money on this, we can't be doing that. We are the greatest country in the world, which also attaches great responsibilities.
So with that being said, let's talk about it. And I'd like to hear from both of you gentlemen. A 2-state solution. What are your thoughts?
Congressman?
Yes, I would say, first of all, the idea of a 2-state solution would make sense. I don't know how it would be implemented. And in effect, Gaza did have more than semi-independence for all those years. I mean, it was Hamas, and the people in Gaza elected Hamas, and Hamas is the one who kept the war going. It started the war with Israel, and they were doing it all those years. It's hard to set up a 2-state if the other state is predetermined to destroy you. I mean, basically, Hamas's credo is to destroy Israel. If you can somehow set up a government, a second state, which you can be guaranteed and have a certain period of time that it is not weaponized. It's not going to have weapons used against Israel. Its government and it's going to be subject to supervision. That's something that could be considered going forward. I think that's what the agreement provides for. But right now, just to say two states, basically they had that, and they had the opportunity all those years from 2005 on, and they elected Hamas, and Hamas was committed to destroying Israel.
Yeah.
So it's hard for Israel to agree to set up a state which is committed to destroying us.
There's a story, Rev, of a minister who allegedly loved, he really loved kids coming to church. And one day, some of the kids got mischievous, and they put there was a new concrete walk near the church, and the kids put their feet in there and their hands in there, and the minister came out, heard about it, and he started cursing at them. And someone said, "Sir, you love kids. Why are you talking that way?" He said, "I love them in the abstract, but not in the concrete." And I think,
Yeah.
I think in the abstract, it's a wonderful concept. But in the concrete, when you have this glorification of death, as opposed to the glorification of life, a clash of culture, a clash of thinking, it's very hard to speak realistically at this point of a two-state solution. But who knows? We've seen miracles before. We depend on miracles, they say in Israel. We don't just believe in them, we depend on them. Who would have thought Sadat would go to Israel? Who would have thought, you'd have peace agreements with different countries? Who would have thought you'd have the Abrahamic Accords? So the question is, who would have thought? And maybe we'll see it. But given a group that cheers when innocent people are slaughtered, and by the way, many of them cheered when their own people were being slaughtered, not just Jews. As we saw innocent people, being killed the other day, Hamas, and by the way, no protesters. I didn't see any protesters here. So we have to wait a while. We got a lot more to do before we get to that question of the separate state. Well, let's come back with more of the Rev of the Rabbi.
Stay tuned. We'll be back with more.
The Rev and the Rabbi on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rev and the Rabbi on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
But they said she was having a funeral there because she considered herself Jewish.
Oh, well, by the way, that's,
I knew exactly what that meant. I hadn't heard that being a...
That's interesting.
Congressman, you should know that in the prison system in the state of New York, state is ruled. If a person declares, "I'm Jewish," or whatever the faith is, that's it. You are now listed as the denomination you declared, because the court has said, I think it was a Goodman case, we're not going to enter into the heart and mind of another person. If he says it, it's good enough for us. So you can
change it.
Look, you go on the airline. I want kosher food. Wait a minute, your name is Peter King. What kind of kosher food? I want kosher food.
Change up. I made a mistake. I want to be Muslim here.
Now, by the way, you have to stick with that declaration for 1 year. After that, you can declare something else.
You can change. Okay.
Okay, now are you comparing Temple Emmanuel to the prison system?
Let me tell you. But she had no connection to Temple Emmanuel. There was nothing... But
nobody really knew she was Jewish.
Anybody?
Apparently, even her daughter explained it. But then, as the daughter spoke, and that was at the beginning about how she apparently they had a great grandfather who was Jewish or something. I don't know. But then she was talking about one of the highlights they had this later on in the talk was how much they enjoyed Christmas morning.
With bagels and lox, that's how they integrated the Jewish part. But
I thought it was Chinese food. Okay.
They probably thought the rate was less at Temple Emmanuel. If you say you're Jewish, the rental rate will be less.
But it was a beautiful ceremony, I got to say. It was really well done. Really
all right, let's come back.
Let's come back.
Come on,
Rev, you come back with a question, all right?
Yeah. Are we going to switch topics?
I think we've exhausted that, right?
Let's go to government shutdown.
Welcome back. I'm sorry. Ready?
Yep, let's go.
All right. Welcome back. I'm Rabbi Joseph Potasnik.
And I'm Reverend A.R. Bernard. Rabbi, before we run out of time again, we've got to talk about the government shutdown. The last time, and it was the longest, it was under the Trump administration, 35 days, and here we are again. Congressman, how do you respond?
Well, first of all, I think I have a pretty good record on this. I've always been opposed to government shutdowns. I think that's not our job. And when you're down there, your job is to get the job done, not to shut the government down. And I was against it when the Republicans did it to Newt Gingrich back in 2005 and 2000. Did it when Newt Gingrich did it to Bill Clinton back in 2005 and 2006. Then when we did it to John Boehner, did it to Biden in the I guess 2011 it was. This, to me, is madness. It is absolutely wrong. It was wrong when President Trump did it in 2018 and 2019. It was a 35-day shutdown. This time, it's basically the Democrats that are calling it. At that time, when we called, Republicans had the shutdowns, it's because they were fighting at something that was going forward, that was going to be in the budget, something they wanted in the budget, and so they were holding up the budget until it was in there. This is about trying to change last year's budget before we go forward with negotiations on the next one. And so basically what the Republicans have said, let's leave everything the way it is, we'll negotiate it, and it'll still have to be approved sometime, and that's when if the Democrats want to do a shutdown then, fine. But there's no current item on the table that the Democrats are shutting the government down for. They want to bring back something that was resolved last year, and that's on the issue of the Obamacare subsidies. Now, I think that as a practical matter, that can be negotiated, but you can't do it under the specter of the government being kept closed until it's done. So that's this one I blame on the Democrats. Having said all that, the blame game is one thing. I wish they could be, while all the public posturing is going on, to have meetings going on behind the scenes between the top people in both parties or people who are respected in both parties, going back and forth to try to get some kind of a settlement on this. I think Obamacare does have to be changed in a number of ways. On the other hand, there are people right now who are committed to it, and you can't have them falling between the cracks. So what we should do is do it, but do it in an intelligent way, not with the gun being held to your head that the government's going to be shut down unless it's done a certain way.
So, Congressman, you said before that people want leaders in Congress to make the government more effective. They want them to work on behalf of the people. There's a disconnect, because some of them go down to Washington and they relish the idea of just fighting with one another, finding no ability to compromise. How does that make it better for the people, for the government?
It doesn't make it better for the people at all. And part of the difference between now and previous years, when there was enough public pressure to force the government to reopen, right now government is being run by social media, or politics is being run by social media. And the Democrats, right now, their base is telling them to stop Trump any way they can, at any time they can, and not to give in. I mean, look at all the abuse that Chuck Schumer caused when he did vote to keep the government open back in March. And the Democratic base is going after him tremendously. I've seen some of that in the Republican Party, but which so far has not manifested itself as much on this issue as on others. But sides get dug in on this, and they get driven by social media. I'm saying there should be a compromise. If there is a compromise, though, social media is going to go nuts. Both sides are going to have their bases calling them sellouts. Republicans will be rhinos. Democrats will be people caving into Trump. And so both sides are under tremendous pressure. I just wish somebody could step forward. And again, I put most of the blame for this one on the Democrats. It's been Republicans in the past. This one is on Democrats. But again, it's time for adults in both parties to step up.
Well, let me ask you a question, Congressman, because, federal employees end up suffering along with many, many others. And in 2019, there was the Government Employee Fair Treatment Act, and it was to somehow, alleviate the fact that they are going without employment. So retroactive pay once the government reopens, is that still in place? And are there other things to protect the employees when Congress decides that they're just at an impasse?
My understanding was that it is still in place. Apparently, people in the Trump administration are saying it's not. As far as I'm concerned, legally, that they are entitled to back pay when it comes about, and if it's not, it'll certainly end up in court. But I don't see. To me, it's unfair to make innocent workers, the victims of this. I mean, there's talk about having collateral damage or whatever. I mean, they have nothing to do with it. A guy, if he's out there working in a department, working in the agriculture department, working in Health and Human Services, working in the Labor Department, working in the State Department. He's doing the job. Why should they lose their salary when they haven't done anything? They haven't done anything wrong at all. It's just they are being used as pawns, and that to me is unfair. And I would say a warning to Republicans is we have made tremendous inroads the last few years politically in showing that we are on the side of the average working person. That was probably a key in the last election. Democrats had lost touch with many of just rank and file people. And that had been their base. It was now becoming, Republicans are making real inroads there. We're going to end up losing that if we just think that workers can be dispatched because they're part of a larger debate going on. Like, for instance, if Republicans say this department helps Democrats, well, maybe you could say a certain department is, the laws it has to carry out are more democratic laws, or more laws passed by Democrats. That doesn't mean the employee out there, the civil service worker who's working every day, is somehow an agent of the Democratic Party any more than somebody working in the Defense Department is automatically an agent of the Republican Party. Yeah. Workers are innocent; they have nothing to do with this. They're not calling a strike. They're not doing any causing any problems at all. The problem is being imposed on them. So, no, that's wrong. They have to get paid.
Congressman, before I let you go, my dad was a Democrat, proud Democrat. He wouldn't recognize the Democratic Party today. He would never think that, for example, a mayoral candidate could run and dismiss, deny basic tenets of Jewish tradition, the peoplehood of Israel, the Jewish people of Israel, and win a primary. It's the transformation is shocking. What do you think?
No, it is. It's shocking. And, you think of it, Jesse Jackson was slaughtered in the New York primaries because of one off-the-cuff remark he had made about the Jewish community, which he thought was funny 5 years before.
I remember that.
And that one quote came up, and he couldn't get out from under it. I mean, Tommy's making remarks every day about Jews, about police. I mean, he's gone on, and somehow he's surviving them all. I don't know what that's about. What's happening to our city? I mean, whoever would thought that New York City, which has more Jews than any city in the world, that has the best police force in the world, that they would both be targets of the man who's going to be elected the next mayor.
Yeah.
And it costs money. I was reading that the Congressional Budget Office, they analyzed these things, and the 2018 to 2019 shutdown, they said it reduced the GDP by $11 billion. And portions of that loss was permanent. It costs a lot of money that we end up carrying, as taxpayers, the burden of. Yeah. Congressman?
It makes no sense to playing a game and the only losers end up becoming the American people and innocent workers. If it turns out that they don't get paid, they are really innocent victims here. And it does go against the entire spirit of the American government.
Congressman, we come to the end of the program. I just want to tell you, you remind me of former Mayor Ed Koch, because even when he left office, he was highly regarded, highly respected. He was revered. And I think the same can be said of you.
I'm glad you clarified that.
No.
I'm glad you clarified
No, because
that.
I knew Ed Koch well, and I could say
he was a character.
Yeah,
come on.
I'm not going to use it. Ed Koch. You are an Ed Koch in the best possible way, and we're very proud to know you.
He was a great friend, and that's a great honor you can give me. And maybe I'll start considering myself Jewish after that.
Yeah. Wait a minute. We have to let me weigh in on that before you go that route. I got to see the pluses and minuses of that for the Jewish people. I think you would be elected, by the way, in Israel. They love you, and they still love you here in America. So wherever you go, okay. I went to Israel with you. I saw the reaction there.
Yeah, I saw you also run away with the rocket.
Yeah. You told me you had a bad leg, and when that missiles flew in, you left me with David Patterson, and you ran to the shelter. Oh, you were like the road runner. I remember that. All right. Thank you so much.
Congressman, always a pleasure having you on the program. All the best to you. Thank you. And to you, our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Dynamic Duo, the Rev and the Rabbi, right here on Red Apple Radio Network. Till next time, God bless.
Congressman, you there?
Yeah, I am here. And just so you know, as we were speaking, I got a text message.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to The Rev and the Rabbi. You can hear The Rev and the Rabbi Sunday mornings at 7. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy.
Download and subscribe
at BeBullish.com.
Mint is still $15 a month for premium wireless. And if you haven't made the switch yet, here are 15 reasons why you should. 1, it's $15 a month. 2, seriously, it's $15 a month. 3, no big contracts. 4, I use it. 5, my mom uses it. Are you playing me off? That's what's happening, right? Okay, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.